Emotional intelligence helps people to communicate with others more effectively, manage their behavior and emotions, and make decisions that lead to the best results. And although this feature doesn't have any connection with how smart a person is, low emotional intelligence can create additional difficulties on a person's way to success. Before you get to know about 17 signs of low emotional intelligence, hit subscribe and turn on notifications to join us on the bright side of life. 1. Having difficulties with understanding the feelings of other people. People with low emotional intelligence, which is also called low EQ, don't notice or don't understand the feelings of those around them. They can't grasp why some people may be angry at them, and this inability to understand the situation makes them annoyed. On the whole, emotions seem to be an exasperating disadvantage to low EQ people. 2. Blaming others for existing emotional problems. You probably realize that emotions are just reflections of what you feel on the inside, but people with low EQ believe that they can blame others for their emotional state. Such people don't want to accept the responsibility for their feelings. Well, sometimes it's indeed hard to admit that nobody but you is in charge of your life. 3. Considering others overly sensitive. People with low emotional intelligence may not realize that they're doing something inappropriate. For example, they may be cracking jokes while those around them mourn or feel depressed. And when low EQ people don't get the reaction they expect, they may decide that others are being too sensitive. It's a big challenge for people with a lack of emotional intelligence to interpret the emotions of other people, and as a result, they may misjudge a situation. 4. Having unexpected emotional outbursts. One of the most critical elements of emotional intelligence is the ability to control your emotions. Unfortunately, people whose EQ isn't very developed tend to lose control over their reactions. It often leads to overblown and sudden emotional outbursts. 5. Lacking empathy. Now that you know low EQ people are unable to understand the feelings of others, that's the reason why they have a lack of empathy. Since they can't catch the nuances of somebody's emotional state, they can't imagine themselves in this person's shoes. 6. Having difficulties with keeping friends. Low EQ people often create an impression of cold and uncaring. That is the reason why they have problems with making and keeping friends. Close friends are supposed to give each other emotional support, but those who have a lack of emotional intelligence aren't able to provide this. 7. Being unable to deal with emotionally charged situations. Powerful emotions can baffle even high EQ people. As for those who don't have enough emotional intelligence, for them, it's often unbearably hard to handle situations which are too emotionally charged. These people don't understand what's happening and can't figure out how to solve the problem. Low EQ people prefer to walk away rather than to deal with all the emotional turmoil. On top of that, in these situations, they are particularly likely to close off and hide their real emotions deep inside. 8. Walking around with a poker face. High emotional intelligence means that you understand the emotions of other people. At the same time, it also suggests the ability to express your own feelings in such a way that people around you can identify them. If a person always walks around with a, so to say, poker face, and you can never tell what they are feeling at the moment, it's a clear sign of their low EQ. 9. Being tone deaf. Most people express their emotions not only through what they say and what their face shows, but also through their voice and its intonations. Those who have a lack of emotional intelligence can't recognize the emotions of other people from the tone of their voice. That's why if your colleague can't say that you're displeased during your phone conversation, you might be dealing with a person with low emotional intelligence. 10. Easily getting stressed. People with low emotional intelligence don't show their feelings and keep them bottled on the inside. As a result, some negative emotions pile up and create a mix of anxiety, tension, and stress. That's dangerous because such suppressed emotions can lead to different health issues. People with high emotional intelligence can manage their feelings by tackling different situations in time. But those who don't have this ability may find other ways of managing their emotional state. Unfortunately, these means are not as effective as finding a solution before a problem escalates. What's worse, the ways people with low emotional intelligence use to get rid of stress are often destructive. 11. Being unable to specify and name emotions. Low EQ people don't have an extended emotional vocabulary. Therefore, even when they experience some emotion, they're unable to identify what exactly they feel. But well, to be fair, only 36% of all people can do this correctly. In any case, if you don't know what you feel because you can't find the name for this emotion, you can't cope with it, right? Unlabeled emotions tend to be misunderstood, and as a result, people make unwise choices. While one person says that they feel bad, another distinguishes between feeling anxious, worried, frustrated, sad, or annoyed. The more precise the word is, the easier it is to understand why you're feeling this particular emotion and deal with it. 12. Being quick to make assumptions. People who don't have high EQ tend to jump to conclusions and make assumptions without collecting all the necessary information. To prove their point, they use facts which support their position and ignore anything that proves the contrary. Even when they aren't right, they don't change their mind and argue heatedly to support their opinion. As for emotionally intelligent people, they try to suppress their first negative reaction to some idea. They know that emotions shouldn't rule their decisions. These people think the situation over and look for arguments and counter-arguments. In other words, they do everything to be objective. 13. Being easily offended and holding grudges. If you have an acquaintance you need to tiptoe around, this person might have low emotional intelligence. The problem is that these people can't draw a line between humiliation and humor. That's why they often mix these things up and take friendly jokes for mockery. Besides, low EQ people tend to keep inside negative emotions and grudges against others. These feelings pile up and add to the stress of everyday life. This is the problem that people with high emotional intelligence try to avoid at all costs. 14. Feeling misunderstood. Low EQ people often find it hard to figure out how to express themselves clearly. This can lead to an unpleasant feeling of being misunderstood. People with high emotional intelligence may have this problem as well, but they know how and when to change their approach to explain their idea more explicitly. 15. Getting into a lot of arguments. Do you know anybody that seems to argue with literally everybody? Their colleagues, family members, friends, and even strangers on the street? The chances are high that this person has low emotional intelligence. Such people often participate in disputes and heated discussions. The thing is that since they don't realize how other people feel, they pick up fights without considering the emotional state of those around them. 16. Downplaying the importance of emotions. People with low EQ may know that they are somehow different from others. That's why they frequently try to trivialize emotions and downplay their role in our life. A typical statement which you can hear from a low EQ person is that the only important things in life are sharp mind and calm logic. At the same time, you should remember that emotions help you to build functional relationships with other people and communicate your ideas and opinions. But that's not all. Surprisingly, emotional intelligence is crucial for productive thinking, especially in critical or risky situations. 17. Being unaware of emotional triggers. People with high EQ typically know their triggers. These are things that can provoke particular emotions and make people act hastily. When you know which words and actions can trigger some negative reaction in you, you'll try to avoid some situations. But low EQ people can't predict their own response to particular circumstances, therefore, they can't avoid unpleasant consequences. Have you ever noticed these or other signs of low emotional intelligence in people who surround you? If so, write about your experience in the comment section below. Remember to hit the like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to the channel to join us on the bright side of life.